Thank you, Rabbi Ganendi. Thank you, AIJAC. Thank you, Jewish Care. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Particularly the interfaith leaders who are here. Your presence means a year ago, my life changed, and your life changed forever. The slaughter of 1,200 innocents in the greatest loss of Jewish life since the Holocaust. The aura of invincibility of the IDF was punctured in a split moment. And trauma and grief was ushered in to the State of Israel and to the Jewish community worldwide. Psychological scars that will never heal. As a proud Australian Jew, I never thought I would feel as my parents felt in 1973 in the Yom Kippur War, when Israel was facing a fight for its very existence. But I do. I never thought I would feel, having grown up in a tolerant and safe multicultural Australia, I never thought I would feel as my grandparents did in Europe in 1933, before their family was consumed in the flames of the Holocaust. But now I do. I stand before you, anguished and anxious about the future. I fear for the 101 hostages that have yet to return safely home, including Kafir Libas, who had their first birthday in captivity. An 86-year-old, Shlomo Motitz, the eldest of those held captive. I fear for the many children that will now grow up without parents. And I fear for the many parents who will now grow up without children. And I fear for the millions in Gaza, including innocent lives that have been lost, who grow up in an educational system promoting hate and in a religious system preaching martyrdom. And I fear for the State of Israel, a country a third of the size of Tasmania, with less than 10 million people, now fighting simultaneously on 7 fronts: Gaza and the West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and against the puppet master and in Iran. Countries and territories with a population of more than 200 million people. And I fear for the world and the divided West that thinks it's okay for the United Nations General Assembly to pass more than double the number of motions condemning Israel in the last year than the rest of the world combined. And a world in which freedom-loving democracies like Australia have abandoned Israel in their hour of need. And I fear for us, proud Australian Jews here in Australia, following the explosion of anti-Semitism unleashed after October the 7th. Just hours after the attack on the streets of Sydney, so-called community leaders were celebrating the crime, saying, "I am happy, I am elated. This is a day of pride. This is a day of victory." On the steps of our national icon, the Sydney Opera House, people burnt the Israeli flag and chanted their vile words of hate, "F the Jews." And the only person arrested was one solitary Jew holding up the Israeli flag. And in the suburb not far from here, Caulfield, after false claims were spread about how Jews had burnt down a burger joint, there was a riot, leaving people fearful in their homes and on the streets. And our children are now afraid to go to university, where they are intimidated and harassed, and our schools defaced on their front gate with graffiti that says, "Jew die." And our artists who come together to support each other, 600 of them, are doxxed, leaving some, like Deborah Conway, to be cancelled, and others to face death threats against their own children. And Jewish businesses are boycotted simply because the owner is Jewish. And our MPs from both sides of the political divide are targeted simply because they are Jewish. How did this happen? And what does it all mean? How did it happen in this country where Jews have been here since the First Fleet and rose to be our greatest citizen soldier in Sir John Monash, and brought a touch of healing to this country, as Sir Zilman Cowan did as Governor General, and today, October the 7th, is his birthday. And AIJAC's our Chief Justice and Governor General. And others in the field of medicine, education, sport. We have all been proud of our faith and our tradition, and only wanted the best for Australia. Well, I tell you how that happened here in this country. And it's because we have been failed by our leaders. Failed in the parliaments, failed in our institutions, failed by our university leadership in our houses of learning, failed by the absent Human Rights Commission. At a time when we needed conviction, clarity and courage, we have had doublespeak, equivocation, silence and inaction. And it's not good enough, and we must demand better. What does this mean for us here in Australia? Barry Weiss, the journalist and author, said it best. When anti-Semitism moves from the shameful fringe to the public square, it's not about the Jews. It's about everyone else. It's an early warning sign that society is breaking down. And on this very day, a day of mourning, you have people wanting to fly the flag of listed terrorist organisations and celebrate the death, the destruction, the depravity of October the 7th. I say not in my name, I say not on my watch, and I say not in my country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today I had a choice. I could focus on the death and the despair, the darkness of October the 7th. Or I could share with you the lesson of history and hope and how light will shine through. As Joel said, I had the privilege to lead a delegation of journalists to Israel in the wake of October the 7th. And we went to the Kotel to pray for those missing. And when you are at the Kotel and when you are in Israel, you can see with your own eyes how for more than 3,000 years people have been seeking to destroy the Jewish people. The Mesopotamians, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Nazis, and now Hamas, Hezbollah, and the puppet master in Iran. But let me tell you, you are here. I am here because we won and they have lost. The Jewish people have survived and prospered. And Israel now sits proudly as the start-up nation, the country battling and defeating enemies on many fronts. Israel was not established because the Holocaust happened. But the Holocaust happened because Israel was not established. And now we have Israel as a Jewish community, as a democracy, as a beacon of hope in a sea of hostility. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are all here, Jew and non-Jew, for the very same reason. Because we know we are in a battle of good versus evil. We are in a battle of a democracy against theocracy. And we are in a battle on behalf of people who celebrate life against those who celebrate martyrdom and death. And we know that Israel and the Jewish people will survive, will prosper, and will dance again. Israel Chai.